What's up?
What's up?
What up?
Yeah, man.
We're embarking on another trilogy.
We're revisiting this.
The original Fantastic Beasts and where to find them.
No. If anything, it's like a dark national treasure.
Yeah.
If anything, it's like a dirtier
It's
Indiana
like National
Jones.
Treasure, but not fun.
Hey, now. Yeah.
With almost less basis in reality.
For something that's a historical fiction,
Yeah.
it does seem
Well, this movie's not a historical fiction. It's just historically concerned with stuff that doesn't seem correct, but that's okay. Because you know what? This movie is fucking really entertaining. It's like a really good fun film to watch.
It's a historical conspiracy theory. Let's say that.
We saw Nosferatu.
Yeah, baby.
Now tell me, was it better or worse than Kraven the Hunter? Just kidding. Was I correct in saying that it was the best movie of the year?
I want to say Mr. Kraven himself.
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yeah. Has an exactly similar performance in Kraven as he does in Nosferatu.
Yeah.
He could be the same guy, same brooding, in
Nosferatu, there's less like... and like walla grunting.
It's Cravening time, not even once.
No,
he doesn't say
he also like I thought this scene in Nosferatu when he's like, my wife is sick, and he slowly unbuttons his shirt and like sits back in his throne chair showing off his abs was a little gratuitous, but yeah, Nosferatu is amazing. This is the best film of the year. I was correct. It's definitely the best movie of the year.
You called it. You did it. You and director Roger Ebert.
Roger Ebert. Yeah.
Roger Ebert.
Such a sick fuck, that guy. Yeah, I loved it.
It was great, man. I just couldn't shake the image of Jim Carrey's Sonic the Hedgehog as Nosferatu himself.
Yeah, with the mustache.
I think it's the stash and the bald head.
I like the stash.
It's very similar.
I thought it worked.
But yeah, wow. Mr. Bill himself did it again.
Do you think Robert Eggers, he worked with Alexander on The Northman, and then Alexander was like, you know who'd be a great Nosferatu? He's like, who? He's like, my brother Bill. And he's like, great. And now that he's worked with Bill, he's like, I hated your brother. I hated working with Alexander so much.
You're the best brother.
He was so tall and intimidating and sexy, and you're just like weird looking and fun. Do you think you did that?
Dirty clown? Of course.
Okay, Alexander Skarsgård, one of the great living actors who I love, who's the hottest weirdo on earth.
He's the one in Succession, right?
Yeah. Do you think he's like attractive?
He's attractive in a way that if you think Michael Fassbender is attractive, if you know what I mean.
Michael Fassbender.
And like by all means, they're both like, okay, you know, tall guys who are not
well,
can
I tell you
they
what
have like murder vibes is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
They look like they would kill me very
Alexander
easily.
Skarsgård is like he constantly plays someone who you're like, yeah, he's hot, but I don't want to be in a room with him.
Which is what I'm saying, like a lot of people find that part attractive.
He's dangerous, right?
He could kill and that's hot.
Certainly like in Big Little Lies and shit like that, he's like he's danger. Yeah. But what I was getting at is that like, so my first exposure to like Bill Skarsgård that I really remember him in is in It, right, where he plays the clown.
Yeah,
he's great in that. Bill Skarsgård is a great actor. I love him. But then I was like, yeah, it's so weird because like his brother is his one of his brothers, Alex, is just such like a steamboat of a man, and Bill is this like little weirdo. But then I saw him in Barbarian, and I was like, wait, he's kind of cute. He's a good-looking man too.
Sure.
Remember him? He's just like plays a normal guy in Barbarian, and I was like, yeah, you know, he really puts on the creepiness.
It's just so hard to believe that he was a good spoiler, good guy in Barbarian.
Barbarian's 2 years old. You can spoil it.
Okay,
but he is a good guy.
He's a good guy, but his face alone is so menacing that when a girl's in a room with him, I was afraid for her.
He's like creepy in like a different way.
Yeah.
Which is very funny. Yeah.
Yikes.
And then Stellan's just a whole other thing. And don't even get me started on Gustav. That fucking... Actually, Gustav, it's funny because he's like bigger in Sweden. He's the oldest brother, the oldest Skarsgård. He's bigger in Sweden. But we saw a trailer before Nosferatu for that new Steven Soderbergh film, not present. Apparently he's making 2 films next year that are coming out like 2 months apart.
Amazing.
Which is great. Michael Fassbender film, but Gustav was in that. He's a bald guy. And,
oh, really?
Yeah, he has a couple lines in this trailer there. Yeah,
my God,
that's the oldest Skarsgård brother.
Big back-to-back year for Skarsgårds.
I mean, because there's so many of them, it's always a big year for the Skarsgårds.
That's true.
But yeah. Anyway, Nosferatu, yeah, it was amazing. Bill is not as ugly as that in real life. He's quite a cutie.
Even with a face that he carries, such as in this one, still the horniest Christmas movie.
But he still, I don't want to disappoint any ladies out there. He does sound like he does in Nosferatu in real life. That's actually
that's
he
his
didn't
whole
he
thing.
didn't change his voice at all.
No.
Yeah.
He was like, one Americano, please. Give it to me.
Mr. Stellan, you are my father.
No milk.
Yeah.
Just black.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's a great movie. It's the best of the year. I'm just spoiler alert for our later conversation about this stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah. Then last night we went to the circus. That was better than Nosferatu.
Hey, your first Cirque du Soleil.
I went to the circus. That was cool.
Did you expect it to be... Were you surprised by it?
No, I was impressed though. I mean...
Yeah, but did you
good.
think it would suck? And then did it take you by surprise that it didn't?
No. I thought it would be way longer and more boring.
Yeah,
but
that's
like
true.
they really...
They cut it short.
There was some boring parts. But
Yes.
There was
I
like
agree.
actually, I would say like there was maybe like 9 full performance pieces, and I would say like 3 of them were kind of boring. But like they didn't fuck around and like do stuff in between, like dance and shit that I was like, come on, to flip on your head and like do a spin or something. Like, come on, get it together. But no, it was cool.
It's so funny because like the parts that were kind of dull now were the parts that are old-timey circus acts, walking on a line, on a off the ground, and
everything was impressive. Let me put that.
Yeah.
But I have to say, like the best part, the part with like the giant robot man who like lifts up that woman, like that I thought was the coolest part, and yet I was kind of like, if I was strapped in, I could probably have done that, So. Yeah, like she just steps on like a swing and then gets lifted up onto the hand and stuff. But then I was like, oh, that woman, she doesn't do a lot of like crazy acrobatic stuff. And then later she's like standing on her head and swinging 30 feet in the air. And I was like, okay. She's definitely got.
And you were like,
she's got circus
okay, that's
chops.
difficult.
Yeah, yeah.
That looks hard. But the real circus we're talking about today
is the Louvre. The Louvre is the circus.
My
of
God,
art.
the French.
Yeah.
What a joke.
French police brutality.
I love it.
Mr. Fash. Yeah.
I think like Ron Howard had to actually talk to the French president who recommended. I think this is like one of the facts in IMDb where he's like, you got to get my girl to play Sophie, the lead French. She's a friend of my daughter's.
Yeah.
So you got to get Miss Tutu.
Totau.
To play it.
It's 2 different. It looks the same, but it's actually Tau 2. Tau 2, I believe. Yeah.
Miss Tau 2 to play the role. The French president was also like, you gotta get Mr. Reno?
Remy.
John
Reno. Reno. What the fuck is his name?
Jean
Reno. Jean Reno. Yeah.
So you also got
the Frenchest of French.
Maximum French guy.
Yeah.
So French people had this shit mapped out in their head, and they were like, all right, Ron Howard.
This is the Frenchest film we've done since Taken.
Yeah.
Yes. And this movie, it's not good, but it's like wildly entertaining. I genuinely think like it's fun to watch for being a not very good film.
Totally.
But you know what it made me think of? That I was like, okay, a lot like Zemeckis, like Ron Howard, he's done so many bad movies, but his earlier stuff I think was like more well received, but I have like almost no relation to a lot of the stuff he's done before, like A Beautiful Mind or Apollo 13, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But like Apollo 13, I think is like his best film. But a lot of his
Yeah.
other stuff, like
Yeah.
I'm like, especially since A Beautiful Mind has been like, wow, this guy was the narrator of Arrested Development and made a bunch of these films, including Hillbilly Elegy, which is like wild. Yeah,
dude.
Like he hasn't made a film in a long time. I don't think I've seen a film of his since Inferno.
Really?
And none of these trilogy that we're gonna do are good, but they're fun. But like none of them I would say are good. But like everything he's done in the 2000s, I've kind of been like not interested in at all.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
To me, like, what's the most fun thing about DaVinci Code is also the most infuriating thing about DaVinci Code is that just when you think this movie's over, psych, there's more happening. Every, let's say, 40 minutes, you're like, okay, this has to be the natural end. Just kidding. They go to a different part of France and find a different clue.
There's two major twists though in the film, right?
Yeah.
The first twist where you find out Neveu is the descendant of Jesus Christ, and then the second major twist is where you find the bones of Mary Magdalene.
I fucking love historical conspiracies so much.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. I take back what I said. Solo, a Star Wars story. It's a good movie.
Oh, there you
Yeah.
go. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
That was in our top 96 list.
Yeah. Well, every movie we've done was in that list. But yeah. But yeah, this movie, like, I don't know. I still find it entertaining. And I think we had agreed when we watched these films in Spain, which is the perfect setting in which to watch a film is when you're on holiday. Watch this trilogy. That we'd agreed that Angels and Demons is the best movie. I'm starting to go back. I think DaVinci Code might be the best one.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, we will revisit Angel and Demons.
Yeah, Angels and Demons.
I will be the judge of that.
And you will be the final judge.
Just
of that.
me, my final
So, did
word.
you ever read this book, DaVinci Code?
No, but you know what? Now I'm stoked to read it.
Why?
Because obviously everyone's like, oh, the book is better, blah, blah, blah. But I think this movie, from what I read, is true to the book. They don't change the ending or anything like that. They changed it for Angels and Demons. Like they went for a more cinematic, more positive, upbeat ending.
If I'm correct, Angels and Demons, which I never finished. So I read DaVinci Code, but I believe Angels and Demons he wrote before DaVinci Code, I think. And then with the success of DaVinci Code, which they bought the rights to DaVinci Code for $6 million.
Amazing.
Like Dan Brown just became like a household name overnight. I saw it's so funny. I was reading I was looking at the people's vibes on Reddit about this movie, and someone posted the most absurd Reddit post on like the movies subreddit being like, how did DaVinci Code make $760 million worldwide? And it was like so poorly received, but like with no word of mouth and stuff. And then every top comment was like, this person must not have been alive when the DaVinci Code, book was released. Because I was 12 or 13 and I read it, and it's such a entertaining book. And I think if I read it today, I would be like, most people are like, oh, I mean, it's so shittily written that like but I didn't know that when I was young.
Yeah.
But every chapter,
it's a fun read, yeah.
Every chapter is like 3 pages max.
Nice.
They all end in a cliffhanger, and it's just written to be adapted into a film. It's like written like the most high octane thriller, and like I noticed this when I was researching because like in all of the controversies and criticisms, they were like citing chapters, and it was like, yeah, in chapter 58, and I'm like, I think it's a problem when your book has 58 chapters. Like that's too many chapters to have in a book. Because I remember it is like, I think you would read it today and be like, this is wildly entertaining, but a kind of a shittily written book. And
dude,
but it really was. It was a phenomenon.
Yeah. Even as a kid, even I knew it. And I don't read. I can't. But it was so controversial in India. They banned it in our schools.
I read about that. Yeah.
It was such a topic of discussion with like fucking 12-year-olds who were like, oh my God, did you hear about DaVinci Code? And it's like, what do you know about DaVinci Code?
Did you ever hear about that book? I've never read it, and by all accounts, I'm sure it's a good book. But from the title, it always strikes me as it's a specific type of book, and it's called Reading Lolita in Tehran. And it's like, apparently like, I am sure it won a huge prize and stuff, but I've heard about it. I saw my mom had read it and things like that. And I've heard it's quite good, but like, it has that kind of air of being like, an important social book, right? Because in Iran, like women's sexuality is heavily repressed and all this kind of stuff. And I think that's great. No, like, but like Lolita is such a fucked up book, and it's like probably banned there as it is probably in many other countries and things like that. I just wish that they made a companion piece called "Reading the DaVinci Code in India."
Yeah, just devout Christians are like tutting the whole time.
It surprised me that it was so, because like India is not a hugely Christian nation, although there's probably more Christians there than here because there's
just by numbers
there's
alone.
like a 2 billion of you folks over there.
So it might be, I would even say like 10%, even 11%.
It's a lot, I'm sure. Yeah,
that's 100 million.
Like it's enough to make for people to be like to make a stir, right?
Yeah,
with Christian Indians.
Oh, I think India lobbied to have that movie banned.
Yeah,
in the
that
country.
doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
Like we didn't take to it, especially when there's one scene when
wait, the movie or the book? Or
the movie. They
had
had the movie banned because at some point she says Mary Magdalene sitting next to Jesus, the prostitute, and then obviously it's like and reasonably it is a shocking thing because not even in the Bible does it say prostitute. There is no it's like assumed that because she's quoted as a sinner that she might be a sexual sinner.
this movie asserts that the Catholic Church smeared her as a prostitute, right?
And that's smeared like women ever rising to power in the church.
Yeah.
Which
so I guess so
very clever.
Did you first see this movie in India? Because so then you didn't get to see the cut where the Last Supper has Mary Magdalene with huge double D tits just slopped out on the table. Because people don't know, if you go to Milan where the Last Supper is, that's actually the original. They censor that version in the film. But yeah, normally people are like, of course it's Mary Magdalene. Look at her huge honkers.
Man, we were so distracted by the censoring of Paul Bettany's ass that we forgot about Mary Magdalene.
Paul Bettany has the smallest butt in this. He's like he could be in Cirque du Soleil with that ass. He's so tiny. I know, yeah.
And even then they cut it out. Come on.
I mean,
speaking of Paul Bettany, dude. The man is such a method actor. He insisted on whipping himself IR. Like, really.
That doesn't surprise me.
Which, come on.
Yeah.
He plays the Opus Dei.
He plays the monk Silas, yeah.
The monk Silas who are, who like punish themselves and tie silice and stuff around
not
them.
all do, but yes, it can be part of
totally.
Opus Dei.
There was actually, and I read this somewhere, there's an Opus Dei member who went on record in a tie-in documentary who said that wearing a cilice to quell your lust doesn't work.
It makes you way hornier. Yeah.
I wish I had seen that visual of him saying those words.
Is that one of those moments
like happy, sad.
Where someone's like, "Sir, I think you're into sadomasochism." He's like, "What's that?" He's like, "Google it when you get home." And then he's like, "Oh, I realized I was into BDSM."
Just like the church.
There is it's so funny because this movie, I don't know what the rating is, but it's like
25%.
No. The content rating, is it rated R? It shouldn't. It's like on the edge though, because that stuff with him like whipping himself, but also when he puts the cilice on the thigh, it's like pretty gnarly shit.
Oh my god, yes.
I think this in a book you can get away. Like I read it when I was 13. You can get away with it in a book, but like in a movie, it's like pretty on the edge of being. Like there's some blood, but nobody says fuck. There's big double D titties on the, but they're painted, so like
that's true. That it's art.
Yeah.
Then it's not profane.
But yeah. So it was banned in India.
Hell yeah.
But you saw it though.
That's how you know is hardcore.
Yeah.
That's how you know you're a true cinephile.
This is one of the most disturbing films ever.
When you get to catch DaVinci Code.
This is the Sallow 100 Days of Sodom of India.
For every 8th grader. Loved it.
Yeah. I didn't see this movie until I might have owned a DVD of it. I didn't see it until like after it had come out. I never saw it in theaters or anything like that. But I mean, it's a good movie.
It's one of those fucking films that just lets your audience stay with the suspense, right? It doesn't have to over explain it, at least early on. It doesn't hold your hand. Like a lot of movies now, they fucking explain that shit. Like, what was that film we saw where it was like, oh, Inferno was spelled out? Uncharted.
Oh my god, I have to give my Uncharted update, babe.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Speaking of journeys, sorry to go on a tangent, but I've been playing the Uncharted games from the first to the last because it's the holidays and I have nothing better to do. But I have nothing better to do, so I've been playing the Uncharted games. The first one is like fucking Jank City. It's old and shitty, even though it's remastered.
No.
But you know what? About as entertaining as the film. It's not quite as entertaining as the film. It's about as entertaining. Uncharted 2 and 3, which I finished, both of them. Great. I don't know what the movie was thinking. I don't know why they were like, oh, we should do something totally different. It's like, no, just do that.
So the games were better than the film?
Yeah, well, okay. It's obviously you're biased because you're playing them and it's like, yeah, this is more entertaining than watching this horse shit of like Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg and all this bullshit and it's horrible fucking whatever. But yeah, they are more entertaining. They're better. However, I'm now on the fourth and final game of the franchise,
right,
which was like actually modern, even though it's like 8 years old at this point. It's fantastic. And the story is like this movie looks like Citizen Kane compared to the Uncharted. This video game looks like Citizen Kane compared. Like the story is so much better. You know what's so wild? The voice acting in the Uncharted games is unbelievably good, and the actors who play them, like Tom Holland, the guy who plays Drake, Nolan North. Tom Holland can never ever reach his register. Like it just he can never really.
I know,
it's like it's so crazy. And there's another woman who Elena Fisher in the games who doesn't show up in the movies, but I bet she's going to show up in Uncharted 2, which I believe has started filming, which is fucking wild.
Oh my God.
And she's played by an actress named Emily Rose. I was reading about all this. They're so good. The voice acting is like so unbelievable.
Okay.
And it's so crazy they made such a bad film. Anyway, that's my Uncharted update. I'm going to finish the fourth one soon, and then
I want to hear about it, but only as our friend and lover Mark Wahlberg.
No. Yeah, you know what's the crazy thing too is Victor Sullivan, he's like Sean Connery. He's not like Mark Wahlberg at all.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and then in this game they introduce the brother who runs away in fucking Uncharted. He's more like Mark Wahlberg. Nathan Drake looks like Jeremy Renner. It's like it's so fucking.
What if maybe that's the switcheroo? Where Mark Wahlberg turns out to be his brother all along.
Yeah, what if they fired Tom Holland and they were like, we're recasting Tom Holland to be Jeremy Renner?
He's now aged
and then
20 plus years.
In Uncharted 2, it's like it like shows a flashback to the first one, and then it's like Tom Holland, and then 2 years later, Jeremy Renner.
Love it.
And then Mark Wahlberg's like, Tom, how'd you get so old? What happened to you? What happened to you, Tom? He's like, I drank a bunch. I'm Jeremy Renner. Anyway, I can't do an impression of him. That's my Uncharted update.
I wanted you to do a Mark Wahlberg as Sean Connery. But maybe
fuck!
You got to work on that. For
too early on a Sunday morning for that. That's my Uncharted update. But yeah, like about movies holding your hand, like what you were saying. Like this movie, the thing. Okay, like the book, which you would notice if you had read the book. Mm-hmm. What is so, I think, appealing about it is not only does it just move at a pace that's very refreshing. It's like a thriller. But it's also like the mystery is compelling. Like what they're saying is compelling. And although first of all, I don't care about whether the mystery is true or not. Like, It doesn't matter to me as a non-religious person. But, like, I think Ian McKellen said, he was like, when I read that book, he was like, as I read it, I was like, fully convinced. And as soon as I closed it, I was like, that's probably horseshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's everyone's experience with it.
That's perfect.
And it's a cool mystery. It's strung together, I think, in, like, a convincing way. But the way that people react, like some people, like scholars, wrote a book just to rebut this fictional book, which is silly. God. But also Dan Brown did assert that like a lot of it, he was like, all of it's true except for the characters and stuff, which is like just nonsense. But it does just like move this compelling mystery, and you're just like, yeah, I want to know what this theory is all about. And
well, especially because so much of it is not outside the realm of possibility, especially with things like never gonna get a female pope, not going to have women like in higher positions at the church. Like it obviously systematically as a rule has been made for men by men.
It's an argument you can understand, but like a lot of, from what I read, like the criticism is that a lot of it is like kind of warping religious and historical fact to like fit this argument, which we were talking about conspiracies earlier, which is, I think, in the world today, certainly if you sit around on the internet a lot, like there's a lot of conspiratorial thinking going on, and a lot of it struck me as we watched this again. I was like, it's so Dan Brownish. It's so like, you can like it, and the thing is too is like Dan Brown, I think, is many layers more sophisticated than the regular like QAnon conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, man.
But the way that the method of it is just kind of like, oh, you can just like cherry pick and pull on this string you've cherry picked to be like, oh, this is the correct way of viewing things. And that's what this book and this conspiracy kind of feel like sometimes. But when you're watching it, just feels like drinking butter.
The only thing that makes me feel a little bit sad now in retrospect is that Dan Brown would have loved to be on Joe Rogan.
Has he not?
He'd be like, this is my audience. These are my people.
Dan Brown still writes, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, he writes letters to me constantly. Like, I think he still is at it, but like he probably gets a check every fucking quarter for like $125,000 for people like us who watch the DaVinci Code.
My God.
And he's just like, thank you, Hollywood. I'm still coasting off this $6 million.
He's the Mariah
book.
Carey of one gem.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't really care about like the accuracy of this film.
Totally.
Like, it doesn't matter to
me. And it shouldn't, because it's so entertaining as cinema.
Yeah.
And it does the job that National Treasure did. And it does the job that Indiana Jones did. It just doesn't have to be as compelling, but it gets you through 2 hours and 40 minutes without being like,
yeah,
oh, this was a waste of my time. I guess
some
75% people felt like that, because
many people felt that way. But
it got terrible rating. But it's such a comfort watch for me. I could just throw it on, not pay attention, fall asleep, get up, and be like, oh, okay. More new things have happened.
If I had to choose kind of like the main criticism of this is like anytime they're not talking about the mystery around the conspiracy, it's boring, basically. Like when they get in the armored truck and they're driving and the guy like tries to take the whatever from them, that's boring. And then when they have to escape with Ian McKellen on the plane and then they have to escape in the trunk of the car, that shit is boring.
Yeah.
Everything with Dr. Octopus is like boring. Like when they're sitting around in rooms talking about like how to solve these like things, that's when it's the only time it's really exciting. Yeah. But yeah, like that's kind of, I think that's like my main vibe of the film.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Like there's lots of films that are worth rewatching because they have moments where you can just check out and not be interested in a part. Like not every film has to engage you at every moment. Obviously, if you saw it in the theaters, you might, much like Kraven the Hunter, you might feel imprisoned by this conspiracy.
Oh my God. And there is a little bit of like Stockholm syndrome with this film, that because you've committed hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours with this movie, you're like, I have to stay to the end.
But you don't when you're streaming it. That's the thing that makes this movie so much more entertaining, right? Like you don't have to do that. You can just be like, throw in a couple minutes of the DaVinci Code.
That is true. Yeah. That's very true. It does have such a compelling opening scene. I've never been more hooked on.
The first like 40-ish minutes are pretty great. Yeah. Yeah.
Like getting to be alone and inside of a museum, that like an art gallery, that so many people want that shit.
Yeah.
Man. It sounds so cool, and it's like perfectly lit, especially the parts with like Caravaggio's paintings. And I only know this now because of like being in one in real life very recently in Spain. It was such an incredible experience.
They actually got to film in the Louvre, which was the Louvre gave them permission.
Crazy.
And then they used like a replica Mona Lisa to film the Mona Lisa because the lights from the set would be too bright.
Damn.
And then apparently the room with the Mona Lisa in it was like where they stored all of the gear and stuff. The actual Mona Lisa room. That's fucking
cool.
Which is
I heard they had
cool.
like 5 replicas of Mona Lisa.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
Movie.
Yeah. Yeah,
damn.
They had to have the one that Sonia draws the little blood Hitler mustache on because
there's another one with like Mona's Lisas.
Mona's huge Lisas. Yeah, yeah. Well, Da Vinci, he painted 5, and he was like, 4 of these are horny as fuck. Yeah.
Oh, one of her names is Mona D's.
Oh yeah.
History. Big buffs.
Myth and history.
Look, it just does the job of making people like be interested in a topic enough to like keep thinking about it, maybe read about it later. It's such a great feat for a movie.
Yeah,
like
and also like it set off like a firestorm of controversy that is like,
which helped it.
yeah, which is that doesn't happen anymore.
No.
Like nothing like that. Things like that have probably happened since, but nothing like that. Like those controversies often stay insulated to their communities. This was one that where like the Catholic Church was like, this book is evil. Like,
yeah.
You know?
No one said that about Megalopolis.
Chicks in power? No, thank you.
Come on.
It was like it's so interesting. But now like I think there's so many like minor controversies. Certainly like every controversy around books is all like really dumb, but like there's so many minor controversies that I don't know. But like Dan Brown, like it's so funny because especially with books, it's like short of like doing crime.
Yeah.
Controversies like only help them, you know, because like this book was like huge explosion of controversy. They're like gonna make a big movie. Ron Howard, biggest director, his movie's just won Best Picture. He's gonna do it. Like Tom Hanks is gonna be in it. He's gonna have a mullet, and everyone's really excited about that. But then like the movie comes out and it's still controversial.
Yeah.
And yet it makes $750 million around the world.
Nuts.
You know, it only trailed fucking Star Wars 3 and Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest.
Oh,
like
fuck.
in box office that year. That's crazy.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like nothing could have, I mean, it's already such a tight match.
But we're talking about a film based on a book.
Yeah.
Not
wow.
These big not like these are sequels and huge franchises that are already founded, you know.
Do you think it would have been helped if it wasn't Tom Hanks? Because they were thinking of casting like George Clooney and like
Bill Paxton was the first choice.
Yeah.
But no, Tom Hanks, I'm sure he added like $250 million to the box office.
Star power, baby.
He's Tom Hanks, yeah.
Yeah.
And frankly, I think Tom Hanks is quite good in this. I like his kind of like...
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't know. He's Tom. He's fucking good in everything. When was, you know...
That's true.
Last time, yeah.
Now I can't stop thinking about... one other person who auditioned for this was Julie Delpy for the lead role.
For Nouveau?
For Sophie Nouveau's character.
Yeah.
She does look like Mary Magdalene, bro.
I guess so.
Would have been so...
Are you talking about like in the chest area?
I'm just exclusively. So like, that's one of them is sunrise, one of them is sunset. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know. I don't know what you could even change to make this a slightly more than the 25% rating that it got. Everything
I don't know
works for
me.
I can't think of a thing.
It's like it's a perfect film.
I'm just it's so
bad.
brutal.
Yeah.
The 25% rating.
Yeah,
and it must be from like the sense of feeling trapped at the cinemas.
Yeah, there's a lot of other pieces of shit films that are like that are rated way higher than this in general and received way higher. I do think this movie is like whatever you think of it. It's never boring and it's like it's silly and it's fun, but yeah. You want to talk about the plot?
Love it. My God, are we able to?
I can.
There's so many plots.
Well, I kind of have to crib a lot of it from Wikipedia, so apologies for that, but get over it. Shut up. Fucking bullshit. One other point. This film was written by Akiva Goldsman, our favorite.
Oh.
Our favorite boy.
Oh
He wrote
gosh.
Beautiful Mind.
Oh my goodness.
I believe I once said he's never written a good film.
And now you eat your words, sir.
He wrote
how you eat them.
He wrote iRobot too.
No, nothing but bangers.
You know what though? Akiva, you don't have to listen to me. I don't have any success.
Yeah, what's
in life.
up?
Yeah.
He's ahead of the game.
So Saunier, the curator of the Louvre, he gets shot by Paul Bettany, played Silas in the film. He wants to find a keystone. That's what Silas is after. Saunier gives him a false lead and then dies and then writes something in blood on the floor. Mm-hmm. Correct? If I'm not getting something, remind me.
I'm already like fucking hooked. Like so much of this is so great.
Anytime someone writes something in blood in a film, it's good.
He's got a pentagram on his chest.
It's fucking dope.
Carved in blood. Like hell yeah.
So they find his body posed like Da Vinci's Vitruvian Man. Mm-hmm. summons Robert Langdon. He's like, hey, come help solve this mystery. He says like he asked for you or something like that.
Yeah. He's a French inspector who, fun fact, his name is Bezoufache, and it's a crude pun in French, which translates to angry fucker.
Wow.
So, it's all for like, short-tempered Frenchman attitude. And
the French are truly the humorists of our time.
Bezoufache.
Yeah. They're all like, oh, yes, we are very funny.
This beaucoup Béjou.
Try the cheese. It smells fash. The French are hilarious. Langdon shows up. He finds the Fibonacci sequence, and then Nouveau shows up, and she like gives him a phone, and he hears the message. She's like, "No, do not trust anyone
except me, even though I am French."
My French humor. And
okay, Pink Panther.
Yeah. And she's like, "Oh, he set you up. There was something else written on the ground, and it said basically like it's such a funny clue because it's like."
Bro, don't even. Oh my god!
It says like find Robert Langdon or whatever, and like as a policeman, you're just kind of like, I wonder who killed him. Hey, this guy.
But like he erased the part where it says find Robert Langdon.
Fash did, right?
Fash like wipes off the evidence.
But Fash is part of Opus Dei, so
right.
he reveals later he's given a false lead by
that's right,
Dr. Octopus.
Yeah, Aringa Rosa.
Who the fuck is that guy's? Who's the actor? Dr. Ock.
And A and a B.
Antonio Banderas, yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah, so Langdon and Sophie, they like solve more mysteries in the museum after they send the police on a wild goose chase. And oh Christ, this is fucking Jesus. I hate this so much. Silas goes to another church and he finds the keystone, quote unquote, but it has like a Bible passage on it that says you've come this far and you won't go any further, and something like that.
So it was a false lead.
Yeah, I said that already.
Right. Damn it!
You're not a French detective at all.
No,
Don't even try. Don't even try to play the part.
I'm behind the guy who's doing the detecting, but like, hey boss.
Hey boss, that's a false lead right there. He's like, who is this lady?
I got my finger guns. I'm real legit.
She is not a journalist for wine at the French patisserie.
Who let her in? Who let you in? Terrible.
As part of Opus Dei, the women cannot take part in any part of anything. I'm too drunk.
Historical fact. Am I right?
Yeah. You show them your Celise thing. You're like, look, I'm bleeding. It really hurts. Can I take it off? They escape. They go to this. They end up finding this key, this like elaborate key thing. They go to a Swiss bank or a French Swiss bank or something, like one of those like 24-hour service banks that you can get a creepy box to come out of a wall.
It's a 007 bank. It's some fancy shit.
Yeah, and they use the key and then they get the account number. That's another scene. The police show up to crash their party. They find the cryptex inside the box.
Mm-hmm.
Police show up to crash their party. The manager of the bank, he's like, "Oh, come with me. We go," and he takes them, and then he tries to kidnap them and take whatever they took in the box, which is the cryptex. And Robert Langdon kicks his ass. They steal his car. They drive off into the night to Mr. Lee Teabing's place, played by Ian McKellen, who is a Bible freak.
Yes.
Some Bible thumping freak. He's like a rich historian of the Grail myth.
Love it.
And he says that basically the Holy Grail is not a cup, not a chalice, not a thing. It's a person. It's a royal bloodline. And so therefore a person. And they don't quite go into this in too much detail in the film, but it's like the Merovingian kings of France are descended from Jesus. They're the royal bloodline. And there is an heir, a living heir on Earth, who the Priory of Sion, who Jacques Saunier was part of, is like meant to protect, basically, until they can reveal the heir and then bring down the church because of all the injustice that they've caused. And he says, like, the Last Supper painting has Mary Magdalene. She's got huge titties, and the V, the chalice and the sword and
yes. There's so so much exposition in this.
It's so much, yeah.
But it's done beautifully. And
I love
tell you
I
what,
love that scene. That's one of the best scenes in the film.
because he does a full fucking PowerPoint presentation for them. That's why. There's like,
it's cool that he had it all set up.
Yeah, he had it set up.
He was like, in case someone comes.
in case someone's here,
Yeah.
I got to show you guys the parts where this painting lights up in the shape of a V, which is supposed to be a chalice or the piss.
Yeah.
And parts where it lights up as a crude phallic symbol, which is just like a mountain or something rugged.
Yeah.
And then
You kind of get the impression that he gives this speech to literally every visitor.
everyone,
who comes to his
he's
house.
got this like choreography down. And at one point, it's so funny, Ian McKellen, after he says, crude phallic symbol, because, boys will be boys. Stop. Dan Brown, did you write this in, my guy? Love it.
It is. I just imagine him like inviting people over to do a slideshow of his trip to like Morocco, and then he's like, "Just kidding,
Just kidding. It's more theory.
it's the Grail lecture again."
Hell yeah. And they all have to like force to wear a cilice around them as they watch this.
You shall go through 250 slides of my Grail lecture that I give at Oxford every week.
That maybe he is also Opus Dei, because that shit is punishing.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And then they get, again, the French police show up to ruin the day, and they get on a private jet. They're going to escape to Switzerland.
Right.
But then they figure out that they have to go to a place where a Templar is buried, which is the Temple Church in London. They turn around, they head there. This whole sequence is so boring. Like it's again,
because it's like a police chase.
yeah, and they're
like,
and they're like attacked by Silas, and then they capture Silas on the plane, and they bring him and blah blah blah. But they end up in London. They get separated from Teabing, who it turns out is this mysterious teacher that the Opus Dei are all,
my God,
who's trying to stop the conspiracy from spreading, basically. And he's like employed Silas and all this kind of stuff. Silas gets killed. It's so complicated.
I'm only now realizing, was Ian McKellen against the Mary Magdalene's descendant being revealed?
He's double crossing he is
oh my God.
He's double crossing Opus Dei,
right,
and double crossing the Priory of Sion, because he wants the conspiracy to be revealed so that the church will be brought down.
Okay, that's what he wants.
We all know from recent experiences that when you reveal horrible things, certainly about singular people or organizations, they immediately fold under the pressure and they don't ever return. They just go away.
It's all normal.
They go away and they never come back. That's normally what happens. Is everyone has a totally reasonable, normal response, and they're like, So
in a way, Ian McKellen's a whistleblower and kind of a good guy, even though his memes are terrible, terroristy memes. But
at this point, I have no idea.
We're like, what the fuck is going?
Yeah.
Who knows? There's 600 agents in this film.
So they figure out the Temple Church is not the right place. Mm-hmm. They end up going to Isaac Newton's grave, and they're just like, Isaac Newton, who was like persecuted by the church. Alexander Pope interred him as friend. Isaac Newton never fucked. That was cool.
Isaac Newton, big virgin energy.
Do you know that like I don't know if this is true or not, but like on Isaac Newton's deathbed, he literally said like, the proudest thing in my life is that I never had sex.
Oh my God! I thought that was like a meme joke thing.
I have heard that's true. I don't know if it's actually true, and I don't want to. Yeah, but like it's so funny because he's like I discovered the theory of gravity, but the most thing I'm proud of is that I've never fucked.
Oh, buddy,
he's cool. He's a cool guy. I really admire him.
Get it? I mean, who else could have invented Apple, the company, if not for Isaac Newton? Love that for him.
Yeah. Yeah. So McKellen like kidnaps Naveau and Langdon. He's like, solve the cryptex. I know you can. We can get the map to the Grail, or to the answer to the Grail, or whatever. Which the Grail. Sorry, this is the bones of Mary Magdalene is like the big thing, right? Mm-hmm. Langdon solves the cryptex, but then he doesn't tell Teabing, and he just like throws it in the air.
Because there's a big thing about like there being vinegar inside.
The vinegar will ruin the parchment, and but he does solve it. He actually does solve it, but he doesn't kind of reveal that. The police show up. Fash, who is part of Opus Dei, he was part of this conspiracy, realized he had been used by Opus Dei, and so he arrests Teabing, being like, "This is the big bad all
Get
along."
That old man.
He was right about that. Langdon is like, "Oh, we have to go to Rosslyn Chapel," which is has supposedly been one of the resting places of the Holy Grail, which is like, hey, why didn't you ever start there before? I don't know. It's like quite literally. But
you guys had the name the whole time, and
yeah,
you come to it at the end of the film.
Yeah,
suckers.
Yeah,
I would have cracked it.
And then they go into this room that is not really hidden at all in any way, so it's like a shock that nobody has ever been down there.
Yeah,
they find like the Priory of Sion's like main hideout, and they're kind of like all their documentation, and Langdon reveals that he's like, no, Sophie, you are the descendant of Jesus Christ.
You are the Holy Grail.
Yeah, and Sonia has been protecting you to hide you from the Catholic Church and all this kind of stuff.
My God.
To be perfectly honest, I don't remember quite how they get to that conclusion, but she had died in this, like, her family had died, and they had claimed she had died as well, but they're actually hiding her because she's descended, her last name is St. Clair, which is descended from the Merovingian kings, which is the royal blood of the Sangreal. She is the last descendant of Mary Magdalene and Jesus Christ.
He finds a bunch of newspaper clippings and
puts it all together. Yeah.
Ultimately, it was in the news.
Yeah.
That's how he gets it.
Yeah.
Journalism.
And then the Priory of Sion shows up, and they're like, we can protect you, and we can let you know about your life. I'm your grandma, this lady tells her, and then, yeah.
So, about that.
Go on. Yeah.
Okay. So, ultimately, the Holy Grail is the friend you made it all along. Great. We get it.
No, it's Audrey Tautou, which is, I mean, understandable.
Yeah,
she played Amelie. Yeah.
Right.
And she's a beautiful woman. Why not?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, she looks so much like Catherine Zeta-Jones in this. Little bit, kind of. Anyway.
Sure.
Point is, they all go up there, and she meets a room full of like fairly older people. A grandma who's easily in her 80s.
Also, like the whole Priory of Sion gang is all in Scotland, like within driving distance that one time. It's a little, I don't know about that.
Okay,
but,
yeah. There is a flashback or a memory that young Sophie has of her grandpa being in a ritual where he's having sex with someone who looks very young.
What other kind of ritual do you want to take part in?
Sorry, it's called a sacred marriage, and that's what that looks like.
She has a vision of her grandfather taking part in an Eyes Wide Shut situation.
With onlookers and masks, and then she's what looks like a very young woman on top of him.
You don't know that.
What because he's obviously a grandfather already, and she has like
and he's not allowed to fuck.
But I'm saying in the end, when they reveal the old lady, she's like, I am the grandmother. I was the one who was fucking your grandpa.
No, I don't think that.
It is, and it's on Wikipedia too. She is the person who was participating in the sacred marriage, which fucking blows my mind because that was clearly a child and he was like, or someone very young.
Wasn't clearly a child.
Sorry, but easily like 22 or something, right? For a man who's probably 75.
No, because that woman who comes in is like grandma age, and Sonia dies at grandpa age.
Yeah.
So the person she saw having sex, they were younger back then.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Which is what's shocking because it's not the same person, but Wikipedia and the movie entry insists that the lady who reveals herself to be her great grandma, her grandma is the same person. Anyway, we will revisit this.
If in that case she would have been Sonia's like wife, so what's so wrong about them fucking?
Yeah.
I don't know what you're trying to get at. Like, why is this married couple having sex? I do not approve.
Because the lady looked super young compared to Sonia in the flashback.
All right, well, they're not, okay?
You're right.
And age gap marriages,
you know what? Now I gotta go back and
it.
watch this freaky sex scene in DaVinci Code.
I don't think age gaps matter at all. I think Al Pacino is right to have impregnated that 23-year-old lady. Okay? Or whatever, however old she is. 29.
Yeah. All right.
Why not? He's Al Pacino.
True. It's
give me all you got.
What else?
Great big ass.
Big ass.
Your head's all up inside it. Yeah.
Incredible.
We're getting away from the point.
I'm sorry.
Okay?
You're right. None of this is as crucial.
You're over here. You're all concerned about. You're like, oh, how old are the people who are having sex? It's a split second scene. Okay, get over it. The Priory of Sion likes to fuck, and that's why it was banned in India. And I'm sorry that you're so conservative about it.
I'm sorry. I'm being a buzzkill. You're right.
Jesus.
Hell yeah. So holy crap. They reveal.
So she's the Holy Grail.
She's the Holy Grail.
Christ. And she can go off and fucking she can get her chalice filled by whoever she wants.
But we know that no one in the church fucks.
Well, yeah, but if the Priory of Sion does, because they're like the opposite of the church. Whatever. Langdon, he goes away. He's like, all right. You know what I like about this movie too?
Yeah.
They don't fall in love. I think that's a great aspect of it.
Yeah, I think.
Even though it would be fine because the age gap is appropriate. Okay.
Well, I wonder why.
All right.
You know what? They had to convince the Sophie Nauvoo actor to like really take the part. She kept saying, I'm too young.
Super respectful that you know her name.
Amelie. They had to get Amelie to be like, please do this. Ron Howard like, bro, come on. And she's like, I don't know, bro. I'm very young for this film.
That's probably exactly how she said it because she's French.
She was like, listen, bro.
Je ne sais quoi, bro.
Hey, how you say away?
She's, she would have been like late 20s. I don't know. Who cares?
Yeah.
She's a good actress. Whatever.
But Robert Langdon's wig carried the fuck out of this film. Good job, Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Great set of hair.
He goes back to his hotel. He has a revelation about the rose line itself, which is the meridian thing, which is not true. That's the thing too. The meridian there's a thing that runs through Paris, but the one that they assert is the same one in the film is not the same one.
Okay.
It does not line up with the true meridian or whatever.
Damn.
The rose line. And apparently it was never called that. So fucking whatever. That's all bullshit. Anyway, it ends up being right above the inverted pyramid at the Louvre, which is above a smaller pyramid, which we see right at the very beginning of the film, basically, in like the first 2 minutes.
2 seconds, yeah.
You see the location, and Mary Magdalene is buried in a chamber below there.
Wow.
And he kneels and prays.
Because it's got the chalice and the mountain touching.
The huge chalice pyramid and the tiny little...
Ginormous.
The tiny little, what the other thing?
Mount Tessie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she is actually
incredible,
buried there beneath starry skies, and he bows and prays. And
that was beautiful.
That's a cool ending.
It would have moved me if I had seen it as someone even younger.
I remember being very moved by the book. I remember the last line of the book, which is he kneels at the bones of Mary Magdalene or something like that.
Oh.
I remember that very specifically because it is a thrilling ending. It's a thrilling ending.
Yeah.
When you're in the zone of this book, which takes 3 days to read because it's so engrossing. Yeah.
Amazing. There's very good lines in this movie that make a good point. Ian McKellen's character at one point says, why can't, or maybe Tom Hanks says, why can't Jesus have been a father and a miracle worker?
Yeah.
So great cases. Jesus fucks. Now it's fact.
Oh, now you're cool with it. God. I don't know.
Preferably someone who's old age.
I don't know what your theories are. Okay. I don't know what you believe anymore.
This ain't Hollywood.
You're just grandpas can't fuck. That's it. That's your entire religious doctrine.
I think that's why Grandpa needed supervision. It had to be done with his homies in a circle.
In case he had a heart attack?
They were just like, you're doing it. Jacques Sonnier. Show it to her. Good job.
It's disgusting. So absurd.
DaVinci Code.
How much time have we done?
It's 55.
That's plenty. I'm signing off from here.
I have a fun fact for you.
All right. I wish you'd fucking get it over with.
It's about as annoying as the code solving in this film is, okay? Robert Langdon's publisher, IRL, is called Jonas Falkman. Jonas Falkman is an anagram of Dan Brown's real life publisher, Jason Kaufman.
Great. It is some of the stuff in this movie does give you the impression that Dan Brown, besides being an author, a full-time author, he's really into cryptic crosswords and crosswords. Yeah. It's cool. I respect that. The thing about the book, despite it being all nonsense, is but he's researched it down to the most minute details. And that's did you ever read The Martian?
Yes.
Yeah. Great book, right?
Oh my God.
I really love The Martian, but I wouldn't say Andy Weir is the most literary writer, but he can hide it all so well within
so
just
convincing.
You're just I want to hear about all this cool shit in The Martian. Yeah. Dan Brown is very similar, just about something wilder than being stuck on Mars.
Love it. Adventurous. Hey, I think the movie ends with seek the truth or something. There's a little bit of text at the end. You're just so I guess it does.
I guess it does.
But when the credits roll, all the letters scramble to seek the codes.
Whoa. Anyway, I
It
just
keeps
want to
going.
say we're big Dan Brown supporters, and we think
Yeah.
he's the greatest writer ever.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. I've been John.
It's been the Love Ceiling. I'm DaVinci Code.
And if you're a grandpa out there, just remember,
Don't be it.
you can do whatever you like.
Don't do
You
it.
don't have to listen to my
Oh
co-host.
my God.
And we love you.
We love
I'll
you.
accept the bad ones, so you were bad. Bye.
Bye.